We're cutting you off.
And we are live.
Click. Yep. Okay, we want to welcome everybody to today's special IGS Live. Today, we have some special guests from Porte County Museum and Historical Society. And so they're here to help us understand what they have available and resources that you might want to look into and check out to learn more and discover about your ancestors. So we're going to go ahead and start off. And I'm going to have you each introduce yourselves and tell us what your position is within Porte County. And go ahead, whichever one wants to take it away first. Go ahead.
I'm Dorothy Palmer, and I'm a past president of the Porte County Genealogical Society.
I'm Bruce Johnson. I'm the Porte County Historian and a charter member of the Genealogical Society, and I've been a member of the board of directors of the Historical Society for 37 years.
I'm Carol Lloyd, and I'm also a past president of the Genealogy Society and serve on the executive board.
Okay, so we're going to start off with one of the most important questions that I'm sure everyone's wondering is what resources are available that you guys can offer, whether online or in person, that can help people discover their ancestors?
Well, first let me start with a little bit of an overview of our Genealogical Society. We had our first meeting in 1984, so we are now celebrating our 40th anniversary. And 3 of our original members are still on the rolls. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and disseminate knowledge and information about genealogy and encourage others to do so. We meet on the second Tuesday of each month. And want to add something to that, Carol?
Well, and we're always welcoming visitors, and membership is $15 a year, and you get a newsletter with that. So, and our newsletter does contain a lot of information that's helpful.
And a little bit about our organization. We were founded in 1906. This is our 5th building that we've been located in as a museum over the years. And we moved in this one in 2006, which happened to be our 100th anniversary. And the goal of our organization is to administer, maintain, manage, and support a historical museum, collecting, preserving, and displaying artifacts and records of our rich history for the education and enjoyment of the present and future generations, particularly of Porte County, and also to promote historical inquiry and study of Indiana history and the history of Porte County.
And there has always been a very cooperative relationship with our Genealogy Society and the Historical Society. So I think it's many of our members that are genealogy members are also Historical Society members. So there's a huge crossover, and a lot of our materials that we collect as a Genealogy Society are stored here at the museum.
And our society publishes a newsletter, which was called the newsletter until 2011, when they renamed it The Door, which is a French term for Laporte. And the reason Laporte got the name Laporte because the early settlers saw it as an opening in the forest, kind of a door to their settlements. And
what are some unique genealogy resources that are specific just for your county that you guys have in your possession that would be helpful to people?
We have one of the things that we have that is not available in the courthouse are the delayed birth records for LaPorte County. We also publish things like, indexes like our naturalizations and commitments to benevolent societies and divorce records and marriage records early on, early court cases, probate cases, very complete. Our members have done over the years many abstractions and indexes that are available in our local libraries or in the Fern Schultz Research Library here at the Historical Society Museum.
I'd like to add that we also have birth records, marriage records, census records, church histories. We also have a lot of the county cemetery records. We have over 50 cemetery records, as well as plat books back into the 1930s. And we have military records, family histories, naturalization records, all kinds of records available for genealogical research.
And so when someone finds out that they have ancestors from your area, what do you recommend is the first step that they should be taking to really dive in to discover more about their LaPorte ancestors?
Well, I think that kind of would go on, what kind of things do you know already? Let me see, I think I have an answer to that somewhere.
Well, it's usually very helpful if they at least have the name and the birth date and the place of birth, just to get started. And if they know the grandparents, and you usually do have to have a little bit of information to be able to go onto a search engine and find that. And there were a lot of small little communities here in LaPorte, so depending on how far back the history of the family went, I would say one of the collections here at the the museum here, which is so helpful, is all these obituaries. There's a huge collection of obituaries, and if they know enough to know about the date of death or a name or whatever, if you find the obituary, these old-time obituaries have a lot of information, so that might be a good place for them to start, but they do have to come in with some of their own information.
One thing that's really important is that a lot of names, the spelling changes over the years, especially for people emigrating from another country. Names change right away, and sometimes they can continue to change over the years as they move across the country. So that's very important to get the right spelling.
Now, when was LaPorte formed, the county? And did the lines change, or were they pretty steady?
The first settlers came in 1829, and when they first settled here, they had to go to Logansport to do any of the property deeds or marriage certificates or anything like that. But I think it was created in 1832, right?
Officially.
Yeah, and LaPorte, there was some interesting things. You've done a lot of good research about how LaPorte County changed over time and became also Stark County became part of LaPorte County. So sometimes you need to know that too, because the lines of LaPorte County changed over time.
There was an area south of the Kankakee River, LaPorte, and there was a Grand Kankakee Marsh, huge wildlife area many years ago, which caused a problem, especially for people living in the southern part of the county. And also when Stark County was added years later to the southern part of LaPorte County, was because of the Grand Kankakee Marsh. People who lived in the northwest corner of Stark County could not get to their county seat of Knox very easily. They had to go all the way around in a horse and buggy to get around the Grand Kankakee Marsh to get to Knox. And finally they decided it was too difficult, so they got a petition to have part of Stark County added on to LaPorte County. And that's how LaPorte County became a little mini Indiana in its shape.
Yeah.
That is interesting. So what kind of people that are going to find their ancestors there, what is there specific ethnicities that are really solid in the county that have grown, or occupations even?
Well, originally, of course, well, we know the French and Indian. We were settled by the French after the Native Americans, and then the English. Many of our early settlers were English, and then gradually they were German and Irish and Polish, you know, over the years, this transition.
My ancestors came from Sweden in the 1860s, and so we have an area of the county called the Swedish Hills or the Swedish Settlement.
And as it turns out, my third great grandmother is considered to be the first white settler in the county. And she was a widow lady and came in 1829 with her 7 children and a son-in-law. And so she had quite a story.
That would be quite a story.
Yeah.
What were the surnames that were very popular in the pioneer?
Well, the Andrew family, they were among the first settlers. They came up, they had been working on, there were 2 brothers who were working on the Michigan Road, helping to build that from down on the Ohio River border. And as part of their work, they had the opportunity to get some land. And so they came up in this area and explored and picked out some land here in LaPorte County. So the Andrews are among the first.
And my husband's ancestors were the Palmers. Ebenezer Palmer and his wife was Frances Crozier. So they were among those in 1835. There were the Glassmans and Jacob Heckmans and so many names. In fact, we have a program, it's the residency certificates, which we award to people who do research on those early settlers. And we have a committee that will help people document, find all that information within these records. And the certificates are for first family ancestors who were here by December of 1840. After that, we added a pioneer certificate for ancestors between 1841 and 1860, and the settler ancestors in the county between 1861 and 1880, as well as Civil War veterans who were residing in LaPorte County before enlisting, so they had to be here between 1861 and 1865. And to date, we have issued 288 certificates, and they each required in-depth documentation, which promotes research into the county records and it fosters a sense of heritage as descending from these early settlers. In fact, I have a couple of examples. You know, here is a pioneer, and we just recently put all the information in protective sleeves and with new binders and labels and spines. So we have a first family and a Civil War. So this is, you know, it's quite a project, and we're very proud of it.
And it's very useful because if you're researching your own family, many times the way things work with early settlers. You learn a lot just by looking over at these certificates, and sometimes you find information about your own family. I've found it very helpful. At one time, the Genealogy Society, everyone had their own family tree, and and you can still find some of that information in files here. So that is also very useful.
So do you guys have any famous people that originated from LaPorte? Do you know? Have you come across any?
One of the persons that's, I think, is world famous from LaPorte is Dr. William Scholl. He was born here in LaPorte, raised on a dairy farm, and was more interested in people's feet than he was in raising cows. But so he's very famous, yes.
So
And
if someone is in LaPorte and they don't have family history there, but they're interested in the history that's around you guys, are there any locations like cemeteries or historical sites that you would tell them to go check out?
well, certainly might tell them to go to the Valparaiso Library, which is very good. Has lots of genealogy resources, of the South Bend Library, which has lots of good genealogical society or genealogy material.
But you were asking about a cemetery, a particular cemetery?
Yeah, is there a particular cemetery that you would tell them to go check out?
Really, because we have so many cemeteries here. Say about 35
Oh,
cemeteries.
we have at least 65 cemeteries.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
I would say it might be more specific if someone knows about a family member or something like that. I mean, there's a main cemetery here in LaPorte, and there's a major cemetery in Michigan City, but we're just loaded with cemeteries. So, in fact, that's one of the things the Genealogy Society does, is usually in June, we have a cemetery tour, and we pick a cemetery and usually have a member who's got some connection with that cemetery, and they talk about who is in the cemetery, and we walk around that. But I wouldn't say there's one outstanding cemetery that someone needs to go to. You know, we have several of them here.
But we do have here at the research library at the museum records of 50 different, at least 50 different cemeteries that you can look at, find where people are buried and the dates and things like that. So.
And a number of our members have been very active over the years in reading these cemeteries and putting the information. There's a website on Indiana GenWeb. I think you have that. It's a gem. It has all the cemeteries listed. It has most of the people who are buried there listed, and some biographical information. Truly a gem of a website. So much work has been put into it.
I worked on that committee for several years, and whenever you had a question on one of the Swedish cemetery, they would give that question to me for me to do the research. And so I was researching for a lady from Sweden. She found out that she had an ancestor buried in a cemetery here in LaPorte County. So I was researching on it and found out that my great-grandfather was a brother to her great-great-grandmother. And I was able to get a lot of great research from her research in Sweden that went back years earlier. So it was really fantastic. And we even got to meet each other. So that's an example of a very exciting result of researching on cemeteries here in LaPorte County.
Right. So do you talk about cemeteries? What preservation projects do you guys currently have or have worked on that you think are important for people to know about? Or even any that you guys would eventually like to do?
You know, I work with the LaPorte County Pioneer Cemetery Commission, And so our responsibility is making sure that all the cemeteries are properly taken care of. I'm assigned to 6 different cemeteries, and several times a year I go out and see if they are being maintained properly. And then we report once a month to each other, and then we also go as a group twice a year to visit certain areas of the county to check on the cemeteries. And we're very fortunate that Porte County also gives us some funds annually that we can use to help with maintaining those cemeteries.
Now, what about historical buildings and landmarks that are there? You guys have any that stand out to you guys that you want to make the community aware of, or that have a deep meaning to the community, to the county?
Well, I'll start with Michigan City. We have the South Shore Station. The South Shore Railroad runs through Michigan City into Chicago originating from South Bend. And they have added double tracks recently, and they took down the old station, and people were very incensed about that, but they did keep the front of it, and they're building the new station, and they were able to save the front of it. And so that's one current example of preservation.
I would say our courthouse is very famous here in LaPorte County. I think there was a time where they were, when they decided to it was either gonna be upgraded or maybe it would have to be torn down. And what they did was they upgraded, and then they made an annex. But the LaPorte County Courthouse is very distinctive. And I've noticed that, you know, whenever somebody's gonna talk about LaPorte, they flash the picture of the LaPorte County courthouse on the television screen, and you know exactly where they're coming from. It's LaPorte. That one's very distinctive. And so I'm very proud that they decided to keep the courthouse. I think, Bruce, you know more about, what is that, about the 4th courthouse?
It's the 3rd courthouse.
The 3rd courthouse, okay, because I know there was a couple before that one,
Right.
yes.
You can see one behind us. That's the 2nd one right there that's in the middle. Also, LaPorte County is really special in the fact that we are the only county in Indiana that had a lighthouse. And so the Lighthouse Museum is a really special place to visit. And then we also have the pierhead that extends out into the Lake Michigan. And so that's really unique to LaPorte County.
So do you guys have any famous legends or lores that are connected to your county?
Serial killer.
I'm talking about that.
We have the world's most prolific murderers here. Not necessarily the world's most prolific, but we have a very famous one Norwegian woman emigrated here who ended up killing about at least 21 people who were buried on her farm. So
Oh,
we
wow.
want to be remembered for her, but she does bring us a lot of people here, that's for sure.
And there is the man who invented the Jiffy Pop popcorn.
Frederick Manning invented Jiffy Pop popcorn, yes.
That's a good connection to have. That's a much better one.
That
What volunteer opportunities do you have for people that are in the area, or is there a way for them to volunteer, you know, if they live somewhere else? Do you have any projects that you're looking for volunteers for?
Well, the Genealogy Society, we actually have volunteers who go to the library, various libraries, and help people with research, and I'm sure they could use some help. We have, when we're doing any indexing or abstracting from court records, we can always use help. we just finished a project of putting all our residency certificates in binders and protective sheets, which a couple of us have been working on for a couple months. So there's always those kind of things.
On Thursdays, we have volunteers here at the museum who come in, and then they're very helpful because throughout the week, I go through the local newspapers and look for the obituaries. So we can keep those updated because they're such an outstanding resource for genealogical research. So they're real helpful in cutting out the obituaries for me and organizing them into binders. And so that's a really very helpful job for the volunteers and keeping us updated on obituaries.
Right, that would be helpful. So what newspapers do you guys have there that have been, like, when's the earliest newspaper? Do you guys know? Or what are popular ones that researchers would want to check out?
We've had a lot of newspapers over the years, way back into the 1830s, 1840s, but they've changed over the years and eventually, well, for example, Michigan City had the News Dispatch. It was a Michigan City News and then Michigan City Dispatch. They combined the News Dispatch, and now we had the LaPorte Herald, we had the LaPorte Argus, and then they combined the LaPorte Herald Argus, and now we have the LaPorte Herald Dispatch. So it's really, with a lot fewer people getting newspapers anymore, we are having less than that. So they're combining over the years.
But each of the libraries, the Michigan City Library and the LaPorte County Main Library have microfilms of newspapers, and I believe that the LaPorte one has ones that go back into the 1840s, not complete sets, but that I know I did some research there, and I'm almost positive it was like 1840. Michigan City has probably maybe not quite that late, or that early, but very close. And they have good collections of those. They also have good collections of land records and a lot of other. The two libraries are good sources, and right here at this museum, there's so much for original sources, school attendance records from back in the 1830s or 1840s, marriage returns, that aren't filed with the state but are filed here,
Do you guys have church records there as well?
What kind? Oh,
Church records?
Oh, here, search.
Search records.
Church records.
Church, yeah.
Oh, we have church records, yes. We have several church history books and their records, yes.
And the LaPorte Library also has a collection of church records, but there are some churches that didn't turn over their records, so depending on what the church is, you might need to go to the church itself. I know that some of the I know a couple of rural churches that started back in the 1850s. They've kept their records and didn't turn it over to the libraries. Yeah, so depending on if you know the church and the records involved, you might need to go to the church itself.
We have had some very old congregations in the Porte County over the years, and they have had their centennial celebrations and have done special books on the histories of their church that we have in our collection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point, because several of these small towns have already had, the centennial, 150 sesquicentennial and everything, and then they put together a lot of good records. And I know even, for example, the Union Mills branch library is right next to the Union Mills Cemetery, and they have a whole section where you can find information and obituaries of people that are buried in the cemetery. And I'm always amazed at what kind of records they even have at the Union Mills Library next to the cemetery.
Yeah, and that's such an important point that, you search online, you search Ancestry and Family Search, and you find a lot of information, but there's so much locally that is not online. it's here in these libraries and these museums, and almost takes going to the actual place you're searching to find them.
Now, if someone, oh, go ahead.
Fortunately, here at the museum in our archives, we have files on many of those topics. We have files on each of the churches and different businesses, all kinds of different files that you can look through for research on LaPorte County and LaPorte County people. We have individual people files as well.
Have there been any major, whether, tornadoes or historical events that have happened in the county?
Oh, we've had tornadoes.
Well, that's fairly encouraging, isn't it?
I don't know if we've had any that would be a national disaster.
National disaster, okay, okay.
We have, I think we have records on the famous winters of
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah, there's a few
Yeah.
famous winners that are doing kind of.
1967 and 19 whatever, I can't remember what
72
years they
or
were,
something,
but
yeah.
and then the Palm Sunday tornado was a big deal here in the state of northern India.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but
Yes,
So if someone can't get there, like, I know going in person is one of the best ways to research your family history, but if they can't get there, is there services or that you guys provide either for a fee or as being a member for those that can't get there?
I know I do a lot of research for people through email. I'll get messages from somebody researching their ancestors, and I do as much as I can here, and then send results to them by email. Or sometimes I call on the telephone as well, just depends.
and our Genealogy Society has a Facebook page, which people do send queries that way, and if we can help them, we do, and then we usually answer them through the Facebook page.
And what do you have available for anyone that hasn't checked out your website yet? Can you share what's available on your website?
Well, I'll talk about ours first. It's I'll tell you, we have the Facebook page, we have a blog. But our website is a static website. It's on RootsWeb, and it's got all the information about us, number of pages, and how to join, and our addresses, and what we do, and how we started, and what, that kind of thing. However, it's one of those websites that can't be changed. We'll see that since Ancestry, I believe, bought RootsWeb or something, and but our Facebook page, of course, changes regularly, and so does the blog.
Facebook for you guys is probably the best way to kind of stay up to date on what's going on and what's available. And
Yes. And your
We
website?
have a website that has a lot of information, different categories that you can research and find out more detailed information.
It's a great website. Yours
you guys
is.
want to share with with everybody the name of the Facebook pages and the website so that we have a recording of that?
Yeah, I think that's what Danielle sent you, but
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, I'd be happy to tell you, but
Okay. Well, if we have it in the link, people can look it up. They'll be able to find it. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, I put the links in the comments.
Okay. Perfect.
I had a question.
Go ahead, Kay.
Do you have files on different clubs and organizations that have come and gone through the years?
We do here in our archives at the County Historical Society Museum, yes.
Those are always fun to dig into.
find out if someone you knew was a member, one of your ancestors.
Okay, I want to remind everyone that's watching, if you have any questions, post below. But I do have another question for you guys to kind of put you on the spot. what is your favorite either item within the museum or your collection that you have? Your
Well-
personal favorite.
Well, I wrote, okay, here it is. Here's mine. It's The History of LaPorte County by the Chapman Publishing Company. It was 1880. And then there's a 20th century history and biographical record of LaPorte County by Reverend E.D. Daniels and Lewis Publishing Company in 1904.
And those are available there at the museum?
Yes.
I would say my favorite is the obituary collection here. I've been able to trace a lot of family history and help people find their family trees just by looking at these older obituaries, because they were very, back in that day, they told you cause of death, and they had a whole lot more information in the obituaries than you see nowadays. So that collection is really valuable.
The most useful things to me are, again, the obituaries. You have so much detailed information that people are looking for, as well as our city directories. We have them back to 1850s from Michigan City and LaPorte. But the one I really find fascinating in this book is LaPorte County, Indiana Index of Names of Persons and of Firms. So this was put together by the WPA, the Work Progress Administration, back in the 1930s. And it's a very valuable resource. It covers 6 different historical books. And what you can do is you can just look in here for a person's name, and it'll tell you the book and the page number that you can find information about that particular person. So this is a very, very helpful resource. That's one of my favorites. That's a great resource for me to help find information on people.
It sounds like it. So if someone has a artifact or document, or they want to send their family history there, do you guys take donations like that? And what's the process of giving you guys a donation?
Yes, we have people come in frequently that have items they would like to donate, and that are family items. And what's really special about the museum is not only when you come here to do research on your family, you can also find out if you have some family heirlooms here at the museum. Because people are surprised that when we look in our collection that we have an item that might have been donated years earlier, something very special. That's really unique here at the museum.
Yeah, in fact, my dentist, his whole setup there, Dr. Tom from Union Mills, they have his old equipment there in the museum, so I can see the old dental contraptions he was using back when I was a small child. This museum just has the most interesting things here.
The Genealogy Society doesn't have anywhere to store things like family histories or the like, so we don't accept them, but the Allen County Public Library does. And they're usually quite happy to get them.
We have period rooms here at the museum. For example, we have the Pioneer Cabin, we have the Edwardian era, the Victorian times, we have the parlor, dining room, and a bedroom, as well as a 1920s room and a living room and a kitchen. And so a lot of the items in some of those displays are from historic families in here in LaPorte County.
So what's the building that you guys are actually in there right now? Is it the home of someone then, I take it?
It's the LaPorte County Historical Society Museum.
Right. Is it an old building, or was it just that you
This,
guys-
like I said earlier, been in 5 different buildings. This is our 5th over the years, and this particular building was built in 1993
Okay.
as an automobile museum. It's a 3-story building with an elevator that goes to all 3 floors to take the cars in the museum. But we've been in this museum since 2006.
Okay.
So we're very fortunate to have, for a county to have a museum of the building of this size. We're thankful for that.
And wasn't it originally to have the Jones gun collection?
Well, it was originally for the Dr. Kessling's automobile
Well,
collection.
this building, no, but the
But-
museum itself, when it started?
No, we didn't get the Jones gun collection until 1921.
Yeah, and it wasn't the first thing.
No, like I said, we were founded in 1906. So some of our first artifacts were mastodon jaws and our Indian artifacts and rocks and
Yeah.
nothing very interesting. But that was the beginning of our collection years ago.
So that means you have a lot of room to take in donations, right?
Sure.
Okay, did you have any other questions?
I heard you mention plat maps earlier. How far back do your maps go?
I think our earliest one is 1862. And then we have a volume has 4 different plat books in it, like up the 1920s, but we also have a collection of plat books that go from the 1930s up till 2023 right now, county plat books.
Awesome. I love maps.
Okay, we just have Pam Bryant just posted 2 questions. She says, my father was born on May 16th, 1920 in Pike County, and she's been to the courthouse several times. Oh, let me expand this, but there is no record.
Which county?
It looks like Pike County.
That you've been to the clerk's office or the recorder's office?
So
Well-
you might want to try that. His
Well,
birthday,
Well, Porte County, so I'm not sure we would know about Pike County, would we?
right.
Yeah, no, so I don't think we can,
So
well.
that
don't
can't
know
be answered.
What's going on in Pike County? We're in LaPorte County.
Yeah. So that Pam, you're gonna have to reach out to Pike County for that one. All right. I'm just making sure we got all the questions.
Is there a Petersburg in LaPorte County?
No.
Okay,
I'm thinking that might be Pike County too.
that might be Pike's down in the southern
Okay.
part of the state.
So our,
Did you guys want to finish off with, is there anything that you think we didn't talk about tonight that you want to make sure you let people know about?
well, our society takes a yearly trip to the Allen County Public Library so that we, which is a very wonderful place, their genealogy center. And Michigan City Library and our society co-sponsor the trip, and we do that every year to give people the opportunity to go there and do research.
Well, that's really neat. Oh, do you go about the same time every year?
Yeah, usually it's in April.
Yeah, about the third, it seems that we settle on about the 3rd Wednesday in April. And this year I was the coordinator of the bus trip, and I foresee that I will probably be the coordinator for next year as well. And we just, and we have some members that have been very generous in giving some donations also as well to subsidize the museum and the trip. We have, some of our members have been very generous to the society, so we've been very grateful for that.
That's terrific.
We offer a lifetime membership at $150, and there's a lot of our members that have signed up to be lifetime members.
But otherwise, it's $15
A year.
a year for an individual or 20 for a family. We do, every December, we have a Christmas luncheon, and we have a Genealogist of the Year award, you know, which we'd like to honor people, not just our members, but people who might contribute to LaPorte County genealogy, either by teaching or helping or publishing. In some way, they're increasing our genealogy knowledge and sharing it with the community. So the nominees or the recipients don't have to live in LaPorte County, but they need to do their research or their teaching or whatever in LaPorte County of our records.
That's great. Does anyone else have anything else they want to make sure we let everyone know about?
Our historical society also has a Historian of the Year awards. We've been doing that for many years, and to recognize not only people but organizations and businesses in LaPorte County who we're very proud of for their many years of existence and the work that they've done in our county. In fact, Dorothy was one of our winners for Historian of the Year for all of her work and research in LaPorte County and Genealogical Society.
Quite an honor.
But absolutely. Absolutely. And
Well,
like
if
I said- go ahead, Kay.
Oh, I was just going to say that when you take your trip to Allen County, if you bumped it up a week ahead, we have our IGS annual conference this coming year, April 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
In Fort Wayne?
Yep.
We'd love to see you. Bring a bus full of you. That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be fantastic.
Yeah,
You'll have to send us the information.
we
Yeah.
sure will.
Yeah. Well, and we'd certainly pass it on to everyone in our group. Yes.
Yeah. The more the merrier.
Exactly.
All right. I think anything else to add? If Kay, do you have any questions? I've just looked through mine. I think I got all mine asked.
I think I got everything covered.
Okay.
Thank you for including us. Nice to be a part of this tonight.
Absolutely. Our goal is to help, everyone learn about the different historical and genealogical societies that are there in Indiana County so that people can truly explore their roots and that. And so this is very beneficial because people can watch this and understand exactly how and what you can offer in the ways of information for people learning about their ancestors. So this is fantastic, and it's going to be on YouTube and it'll be on Facebook, and I believe your guys are going to share it on your Facebook page as well. So, and questions can always be asked even when we're not live, and I'm always monitoring ours so that I could forward it to you guys if need be.
Excellent.
So before we head off tonight, I want to the IGS website is almost ready, almost. So be sure to check your emails because you will get a notification through there. And Kay, did you want to add anything to that?
That's where we're at right now. Just keep an eye out for an email from IGS if you're a member already. Yes, hopefully soon.
We're all excited, and a lot of work has been put into this. Rhonda has been amazing, and so we're excited.
Absolutely.
And continue to watch us on Facebook and social media as well. But
it's really a great idea to check out all the genealogy and historical societies, and thank you for doing that.
exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next month we are going to have Kay and maybe someone else we are going to talk about 4-H and genealogy. They actually come together, and so we're excited to talk about that.
Yes, they do that up here too.
Oh, good, good, yes.
4-H genealogy,
Yeah, they do.
yes.
Yep, we need to make it more known so people know about it, so it's going to be a good one next month, so. All right then.
Great.
Everybody have a good evening, and we will see you on the next Facebook Live.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Bye.